Aloha, I'm Gigi Kriski, Senior Merchandising Manager for Tori Retail, and this is my husband Paul.
And today we're going to be making for you a carbonara pasta completely from scratch.
Let's get started.
For the pasta, we have only 2 ingredients. We have eggs, 1 per person that you plan on making pasta for, and wheat flour. With the wheat flour, there's multiple different types out there. I personally like the type 0. It ends up being softer. Or you could go with this other one, semolina, which will be a little bit harder in the end. It's your personal preference. So, ready to begin making the pasta, the dough for the pasta. Start with a clean surface, as well as clean hands, because we are going to be using them getting a little bit messy. So start by making a well of the flour. Right now I have a 1.25 cups inside there. I have another 1/4 cup off to the side in case I need it. It all depends on the size of your eggs as to how much flour you need. So between a 1.25 cups to possibly a 1.5 cups. We'll see. But you can always add more. You can't take out if you put too much. All right, so I'm going to go in and pour the eggs into the well. And we're just going to kind of start to incorporate this into the flour, starting to form a little bit of the dough, and then we are going to go and use our hands. And as I said, we will be getting messy with this, so make sure your hands are clean. So still kneading the dough. I have added most of, and that's kind of sticky still, I've added most of the additional flour of that 1/4 cup, bringing us up to almost a 1.5 cups worth of that flour. We used large eggs for that, so if you use extra large eggs or maybe even XXL, then you'll probably need more flour than what I've used here. We're looking for a smooth and elastic texture. I'm not there yet, so I'm going to keep kneading this until it is at that point. All right, so the dough is just about ready here. It's smooth. You can see like just overall the texture is a smooth texture, and we want it to be elastic. So if I push, you can see that it comes back out afterwards. So that's that elasticity that you want. So what we have to do now that we have our dough formed is we are gonna put it in a bowl, cover it with a cloth, and let it sit for about a half hour. And we are back. We have left the dough covered for about a half hour, a little bit over. Doesn't hurt anything for that. And now what we're going to do is we are going to sprinkle some all-purpose flour, just so that way the dough as we're rolling it out won't stick to the surface. Get your rolling pin, put that dough in. Gonna get some of that flour on both sides, and be prepared for a workout, because we gotta roll this to a thin little amount, and you're gonna be putting effort in on that one. What you're gonna do is you're gonna be rolling from both directions. So when it's small like this, we can actually just kind of rotate the dough around. Once it gets larger, then we're gonna end up moving the rolling pin around. So you want it thin, but you don't want it to be torn in any holes inside. I think this is pretty good at this point. And now it's time to really do the most magical part of all. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll the bottom half up to this halfway point, and we're gonna roll the top part down to this halfway point, and that way we can then chop it up. So when you're doing your rolls, you want it to be, and this is gonna be kind of strange, but both tight and loose at the same time. You don't wanna make it too tight because you need them to be able to separate when it comes time to cutting them and then unrolling them. But at the same time, you want it to be tight enough that you're not just gonna go in and mash down the dough as you're cutting through it. So what I kind of do is I end up wiggling it a little bit, which kind of makes it a little bit tighter without really like crimping it down at all. So you only want to go to the halfway point. All right, then I'm going to start from the other side. And so it's kind of a weird shape, but you know, you do what you can with it. Eventually it'll all meet up and it'll be about the same roll. All right, so now we have the pasta rolled up, almost like it's like an unrolled scroll. So if you want thin pasta, you can just cut it really thin. So you just go in and you can make this as thick or as thin as you want to. And so what you do once you've cut your pasta is you slide the knife underneath. I missed one piece there, not a big deal. And when you lift up, you'll see all that pasta unrolls. And that's why we wanted the tight rolls, but not too tight. We don't want to mash it down, and so there is your pasta. You just kind of fold it off to the side and keep that for a little bit later.
So now, onto the carbonara sauce. For ingredients, you're going to need about 5 pieces of bacon, a cup of chopped onion, a cup of pecorino romano cheese, and 2 eggs. You're also going to need a tablespoon of olive oil, a little bit of chili flakes, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, or you can also use dry marjoram or oregano, and also a little bit of parsley for garnishing. So first, we are going to beat the eggs in a medium-sized mixing bowl. And then we're going to add the cheese a little bit at a time. And add some more. Just a handful at a time. I've already added olive oil in here, so we're gonna put the onions into the pan with the olive oil. And then we're gonna stir it for a little bit. And then we're also gonna add in our marjoram or Italian seasoning. Okay. And then on a separate pan, you can also start cooking your bacon. Now that our bacon's going, we're also going to add the chili flakes. You'll be cooking it for a couple minutes. The bacons are still soft. You can turn the heat down to low. And then the onions are getting a bit more golden brown. So then now you can add the onions in with the bacon. Mix it a little bit, and then you turn the heat to low. And then set it to the side. If it starts to get too hot, you turn it off a little bit. But you want it to continue keeping warm. And now we have a saucepan of hot water with some oil and salt ready for the pasta. For fresh pasta, you don't need a long time to cook. It's only going to take a couple minutes. And we're gonna actually keep a little bit on the side. We're not going to cook all of them today. So once you see that the pasta is floating, it is ready. So I'm going to turn off the heat now. And then we're going to add our pasta straight into our frying pan with the bacon and onions. We're going to turn off our heat. Now we're going to add the egg mixture. Okay, so make sure you turn off the heat because we want the egg to be cooked, the egg and cheese mixture to be cooked. You don't want it to solidify. And last step, we are going to add a little bit of pasta water in there. That way the sauce gets really creamy and glossy. Okay, so once your pasta is plated, go ahead and add a little bit of pepper. And then also garnish with a little bit of parsley on top.
This is our take on carbonara pasta.
Thank you so much for watching and bon appetit! Happy Aloha Friday!